Add more spin to your game with the Dunlop SX300 2025. The next generation of SX300 received some significant updates. The first is a new mold featuring a wider beam at 3 and 9 o'clock for more stability. Additionally, Dunlop adds a new technology called VibroShield in the shaft to decrease vibrations and add comfort. Lastly, the Spin Boost XT grommets have been tweaked in the yoke for even better spin potential. Overall, the SX300 offers user-friendly specs perfect for a wide range of players looking for speed, power, and spin potential. I think that the SX300 definitely lives up to its name. The highlight for me throughout this whole playtest was the excellent spin potential that I got from basically every stroke. So from the baseline, the first thing that I noticed was that it does have a pretty high launch angle, so my balls were landing pretty deep in the court. I really love this on the defense. When I was reaching, I could get myself back into a neutral position with ease. And then when it came to offense, I just had to make sure I added that spin to make sure that I didn't overhit my shot and keep my balls landing in the court. Another thing that I really liked about this racket was that I thought it offered a good blend of maneuverability and stability. I was really able to move this racket around my body easily and be able to rotate my wrist to generate that spin potential, but I also thought it was pretty stable and I didn't feel any twisting in my hands even on some bigger hitting shots. From the previous generation, I did find that it was a little bit more stable, so I really liked that aspect. Another difference that I found was that I felt that this racket, this update for 2025, played a little bit firmer feeling. It wasn't necessarily uncomfortable, but just a little bit of firmer feel upon impact. When it came to starting off points with this racket, I really liked on serve mixing it up with the different spins, slicing out wide, having a good kick serve, and even hitting some flat down the tee, keeping my opponents guessing. And when it came to returns, I kept it a little bit more simple. Most of my returns, I was hitting deep in the middle, kind of giving myself a little bit more margin of error. Overall, though, I think this is a really user-friendly racket. It's really easy to use and great for players that love to hit with a lot of spin.
I found this racket to be very maneuverable, and because of that, I was able to easily generate a lot of racket head speed with it. I was able to hit a ton of spin on my shots thanks to that really open string pattern, and which was needed because it does have a bit of a higher launch angle, like Brittany mentioned. And so I was able to get easier depth on my shots, but the downside to that was that I found that I was launching the ball a bit more, especially if I wasn't getting it under the ball and getting enough spin on my shots. On my serves, all that power and all that spin allowed me to hit a heavier and bigger ball, which I always appreciate on my serve to get easier points with. Overall, if you're a player that's looking to add a ton of power and a ton of spin to your game, you'll definitely want to check this one out.
Playing with this racket really didn't bring anything unexpected. I got what I thought I was going to get out of this updated SX300. The string spacing on this is wide open, which meant plenty of net clearance, which, like as Britt mentioned, was great when pushed way back off the baseline. Easy to get that depth to get back into the point and into a more neutral position. And it is very whippy, so you can get good topspin. For me, I really needed to make sure that I was adding topspin. During some drilling sessions, I was trying to work on my consistency, and if I just kind of lost concentration, I noticed that I was starting to miss my shots long or wide, depending on whether doing down the lines or cross courts. I just was having not that same sort of precision I would get from a Dunlop CX racket. At net, I was impressed with the maneuverability as well as the stability. I thought that on the stretch that I was getting some good net clearance on it, so I was getting some of those shots off and over to the net and staying in the point. Overall for me, I thought that this racket did play on the firm side. Like Britt said, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it is a firmer playing racket. But with that firmer feel, you're getting plenty of power and plenty of spin. And that wraps up our thoughts here in California. Next, we're going to check in with Jofi to see how it worked for her.
To be honest, going into this playtest, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect of this racket, but as the playtest went on, I ended up really liking this new Dunlop SX300. Overall, this was a great hitting experience, and I thought the racket was very easy to pick up. There was basically no adjustment time needed on my end. The word of the playtest was definitely spin for me. I thought the racket really excelled at that, and it was very easy to generate, especially from the baseline where I like to push my opponents back with getting under the ball and putting that nice arch on my shots. On the other hand, I never really felt like I was controlled because of the amount of spin I was getting, and I thought that was a great aspect of this racket, just how controlled my shots felt. When it comes to power, I thought the racket was a bit underpowered, which honestly I didn't really mind. It was just something I didn't really expect. I thought it was going to give me a bit more oomph when I was hitting the balls, but it made me work a bit more, which honestly I do prefer. For a spin-oriented racket, the launch angle wasn't too high, which I actually really enjoyed, especially because my slices were sitting nice and low on the court. I definitely enjoy the stiffness of the frame. Generally speaking, I prefer rackets that are a bit more on the stiffer side, and I thought the response I was getting from this racket was awesome. All in all, I think this is a great spin-oriented frame that I would most likely compare to a Puretto, except this one just has a tad bit more control, a bit more precision. So if that's something that you're looking for, definitely check this one out. Thank you for watching. We strung up this Dunlop SX300 with explosive tour, explosive bite, and explosive spin at around 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please go check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.